Have you ever felt the pressure to be in a relationship as if the world expects you to constantly search for someone to complete you? Everywhere you look, people are paired off, posting pictures of happiness and whispering the unspoken rule, you're not whole until you find someone. But what if that's a lie? What if staying single at this very moment could be the most powerful choice you ever make? Nietzsche, one of the greatest minds to challenge conventional thinking, believed that true strength begins with oneself. He argued that only by standing alone can we discover the depth of our own character, the richness of our passions, and the clarity of our purpose. When you are constantly seeking validation from others, you lose sight of your own essence. You allow the world's expectations to shape your desires, instead of listening to the quiet, persistent voice inside you that knows who you truly are. Being single is not a punishment or a temporary state. It is a privilege, an invitation to cultivate yourself in ways that a relationship may never allow. It is the freedom to explore, to fail, to dream, and to rise again on your own terms. Every moment you spend alone is an opportunity to sharpen your mind, strengthen your heart, and uncover the things that ignite your spirit. The beauty of singlehood is that you are not constrained by compromise or fear of loss. You are free to chase ambitions without hesitation, to follow your curiosity wherever it leads, and to become someone so complete, so vibrant, that when love does enter your life, it is not out of need, but out of choice. Nietzsche reminds us that he who cannot be alone cannot love. This is not a call to reject connection, but a challenge to embrace solitude, to master the art of being whole without leaning on another. In the quiet moments when the world feels empty and expectations weigh heavily, you are actually standing at the threshold of something extraordinary. Solitude is your teacher, your mentor, your mirror. It shows you who you are without distractions, without illusions, without compromise. And in that reflection, you discover a truth many spend a lifetime searching for, that being single is not emptiness, it is power. It is the beginning of a life lived fully, authentically, and unshakably on your own terms. When you look around, it's easy to believe that happiness is only found in the arms of someone else. Society has built a narrative that being single is a flaw, a temporary inconvenience, something to fix. But Nietzsche challenges this idea with piercing clarity. He believed that true fulfillment comes from within, that the deepest joy and the most profound strength emerge when you are comfortable in your own company. Think about it. When you are single, there is no one to define your worth for you. There is no one to limit your dreams, your choices, or the directions your life can take. Every decision you make is a reflection of your own desires, not someone else's expectations. This is power in its purest form. It is a liberation few ever truly experience. Imagine waking up each day knowing that your time, your energy, and your heart belong to no one but yourself. Imagine the freedom to pursue passions without compromise, to explore the world without restraint, to make mistakes and learn from them without fear of judgment. This is the gift of staying single, and it is far more valuable than any fleeting romantic attachment. Many people enter relationships seeking love, only to discover that they have lost themselves in the process. They mold themselves into what they think another person wants, ignoring the whispers of their own spirit. Nietzsche reminds us that a person who cannot endure solitude is incapable of true intimacy. How can you give love authentically if you do not first know yourself? Being single is the training ground for the heart. It teaches patience, resilience, and self-respect. It forces you to confront your fears, to face your weaknesses, and to embrace your strengths. In solitude, you meet yourself in ways that relationships often obscure. You discover what truly matters, what fuels your ambitions, and what kind of life you want to lead. And when you are strong enough to stand alone, relationships transform. You no longer seek someone to complete you, you attract those who complement you. Your love is intentional, not desperate. It is a partnership of two whole individuals, not a dependency born of need. Being single also allows you to cultivate a life of meaning. You can dedicate yourself to growth, creativity, and purpose without compromise. You can read the books that challenge you, travel to places that inspire you, and build the life that reflects your own values, not someone else's. Every challenge you overcome alone becomes a testament to your resilience. Every moment of discomfort teaches you patience. Every act of self-care becomes a declaration of self-worth. Nietzsche would argue that this is how greatness is forged. Those who are comfortable in solitude are not lonely. They are powerful. They are self-reliant, thoughtful, and unshakable. They do not cling to relationships for validation, but engage with others from a place of abundance, not scarcity. They understand that the most important relationship is the one they have with themselves. And this understanding changes everything. It reshapes your expectations, your decisions, and your perspective on life. When you embrace singlehood, you are not waiting for life to happen. You are creating it. You are no longer a passenger, but the driver of your own destiny. And in this autonomy, there is a profound joy, a quiet confidence, and an enduring strength that no relationship alone can provide. Being single is not merely a state of being. It is a declaration of independence, a choice to honor yourself above societal pressures. In a world obsessed with coupledom, it takes courage to walk alone, to trust that your own company is enough. Nietzsche believed that only by embracing solitude can we achieve self-mastery and true authenticity. When you are single, every moment is an opportunity to grow into the person you are meant to become, unfiltered and uncompromised. You are free to explore your passions without hesitation, to dive into work, art, study, or travel without negotiating your desires or accommodating another's schedule. There is an unparalleled clarity that comes with living life on your own terms. You learn to listen deeply to your own voice, to hear the subtle desires and instincts that are often drowned out by the expectations of a partner or the noise of the world. Solitude sharpens the mind and strengthens the spirit. It teaches you the difference between dependency and genuine connection. Too often, people enter relationships out of fear of being alone, mistaking comfort for love. But Nietzsche reminds us that love should never be a crutch. It should be a meeting of equals, not an escape from oneself. Being single forces you to confront your own fears, the fear of rejection, the fear of failure, the fear of silence. And in facing these fears, you build resilience. You cultivate a sense of self that does not waver when challenges arise. Every disappointment, every lonely evening becomes a lesson in patience and self-reliance. You begin to understand that your worth is inherent, not contingent on another's presence. This realization is transformative. It changes the way you approach relationships, friendships, and even professional ambitions. You stop seeking validation from external sources and start nurturing your own inner validation. You become someone who can give love fully because you are not empty. You are not trying to fill a void. Instead, you share your completeness, your richness of experience, and your depth of understanding. Singlehood also brings clarity about the people you allow into your life. You no longer tolerate shallow connections, toxic influences, or those who diminish your energy. You become discerning, valuing quality over quantity, depth over convenience. Your time becomes precious, and every interaction must earn its place. In solitude, you also cultivate creativity. Without constant distraction or compromise, your mind has space to dream, to invent, to solve problems in ways you never imagined. Artists, writers, thinkers, and philosophers have long understood this power of solitude. It is in these quiet moments that ideas are born and brilliance is nurtured. And while society may whisper that being single is a failure or an oversight, Nietzsche would argue the opposite. Those who embrace their aloneness are not lacking, they are empowered. They are capable of love, joy, and purpose that is unshakable, because it is rooted in self-understanding. By staying single, you honor your journey, your individuality, and your potential. You step into a life that is unapologetically yours, and in that ownership lies a freedom and a power that no relationship can ever replace. Solitude is not emptiness. It is a canvas, a laboratory, and a proving ground. It is where you forge the life you were meant to live, the character you were meant to embody, and the love you were meant to give, not out of need, but out of abundance. Being single is not a punishment. It is an invitation to step fully into your own power. In the silence of solitude, you discover the depths of your character and the boundaries of your strength. Nietzsche teaches us that greatness often emerges, not from comfort, but from challenge. And what greater challenge than learning to love and respect yourself without relying on another? Singlehood strips away illusions of dependency and forces you to confront the truth of your own existence. It is in this confrontation that transformation occurs. You begin to notice patterns in your behavior, the ways you settle for less, the fears that have governed your choices, and the compromises that were never truly yours. In facing these truths, you gain insight that cannot be taught by books or lectures. It is learned through experience, through the raw and unfiltered reality of being alone. Each day spent single is a day of self-refinement, a chance to mold your mind, body, and spirit into alignment with your highest ideals. You develop discipline, not imposed by external pressures, but born from a commitment to yourself. You learn to rise early, to pursue knowledge, to practice patience, and to embrace challenges with clarity rather than avoidance. Being single also gives you the freedom to make mistakes without fear of judgment. You can explore, fail, and rise again, building resilience that a life dictated by compromise would never allow. Relationships, when they eventually arrive, become richer and more meaningful because you are not seeking them to fill a void. Instead, you bring completeness, authenticity, and presence into every interaction. This authenticity radiates. People are drawn not to neediness, but to the confidence and self-possession that come from knowing your worth. Being single is also a time to cultivate your passions and dreams without hesitation. Travel, creative projects, business ventures, spiritual practices all flourish when your energy is undivided. You learn that your happiness is not conditional upon someone else's approval or presence. Your joy becomes self-sustaining, rooted in experience, achievement, and self-appreciation. Solitude sharpens perception. You observe the world with a clarity that is dulled by distraction, noticing beauty, injustice, and opportunity in ways that others overlook. You become more compassionate, not because you are asked to be, but because you understand the value of independence and the weight of being truly seen. The relationships that do enter your life are no longer compromises. They are deliberate. Choices made with intention. You recognize the difference between fleeting comfort and enduring partnership. You begin to measure connection by depth rather than convenience. This discernment is a rare gift, cultivated only through the willingness to walk alone. And when society whispers that being single is lonely or undesirable, you understand that this is a misconception rooted in fear. True loneliness is not found in being alone. It is found in losing yourself in another's expectations. By remaining single, you protect the sanctity of your own journey. You honor your needs, your values, and your potential. You cultivate an inner life so rich, so vibrant, that solitude is not a state of lack, but a state of abundance. You become someone who can stand in any room, in any circumstance, fully present, fully alive, and fully in command of your own destiny. This is the gift of singlehood, the power to create a life not borrowed from another, but entirely your own, a life of meaning, growth, and unshakable fulfillment. Being single is a masterclass in self-discovery, a time when you are forced to confront your own mind, your own fears, and your own desires without distraction. It is a period in which the world's noise falls away, leaving you with only yourself, and in that silence you hear the truth of who you are. Nietzsche reminds us that the strongest individuals are not molded by comfort, but by solitude, challenge, and reflection. When you are single, you are free to examine every corner of your existence, to question every habit, every assumption, and every attachment. You learn to understand what truly matters to you beyond the expectations of society, family, or friends. This clarity is priceless. It allows you to make decisions with intention rather than impulse, to pursue goals not for approval, but for fulfillment. Emotional resilience is born in these moments of solitude. Without another person to lean on, you confront disappointment, frustration, and longing head-on. You learn that your emotions do not define you. They are signals, guides, and teachers. You develop patience with yourself and, in turn, patience with the world. Being single sharpens your boundaries. You understand that saying no is not rejection, but protection of your own energy. You recognize the value of your time and presence, and you no longer settle for interactions, relationships, or environments that drain or diminish you. Instead, you attract experiences that resonate with your core values and your vision for life. Spiritually, singlehood is a journey inward. It invites contemplation, meditation, and awareness of your place in the universe. Without the distraction of constant external validation, you discover a connection to something greater, a sense of purpose, an alignment with your own principles, and a profound appreciation for life itself. Intellectually, being single opens doors to growth that compromise often closes. You read, you learn, you explore, and you challenge yourself in ways that a dependent life rarely allows. You cultivate curiosity, critical thinking, and the courage to question not just the world around you, but your own assumptions. Creativity flourishes when you are alone. Ideas flow unimpeded, and your imagination becomes a sanctuary for possibility. Projects, hobbies, and personal ambitions thrive because your energy is undivided. Socially, singlehood refines your understanding of connection. You no longer chase relationships out of fear or loneliness. When you choose to engage, it is intentional, meaningful, and rooted in shared values rather than convenience. You become someone who brings completeness to every interaction, someone whose presence is sought not out of dependency, but respect and admiration. Physically, singlehood allows you to honor your body as your own domain. You make choices about health, fitness, and lifestyle that serve your well-being, not someone else's preferences. You learn discipline not because someone watches, but because you respect yourself. In every dimension, emotional, spiritual, intellectual, and physical, singlehood is a time of empowerment. It is an investment in the most important relationship you will ever have, the one with yourself. The world may insist that being single is loneliness, but you understand the paradox. True loneliness is losing yourself in someone else's expectations. Freedom, growth, and fulfillment arise from walking your own path with courage and clarity. And when the right connection does come, it enters not as a necessity, but as a choice, a meeting of equals, a union of fully realized individuals who understand the value of solitude, the strength of independence, and the power of a life consciously lived. Long-term staying single is not merely a temporary phase. It is an intentional cultivation of strength, independence, and wisdom. Nietzsche emphasizes the idea that greatness is born not from comfort or conformity, but from the courage to face oneself alone, to wrestle with one's own thoughts and desires without external influence. When you remain single, you grant yourself the time to evolve, to grow into a person who is whole and undivided. You are no longer defined by someone else's presence or absence. Your value is intrinsic, rooted in the discipline, insight, and resilience you cultivate within. Over time, this solitude teaches you to confront the aspects of yourself that you may have ignored or suppressed in the rush of relationships. You face fears, insecurities, and patterns that have quietly shaped your life, and in confronting them, you gain mastery over your own mind. You discover that your happiness does not depend on another's approval, love, or attention. It exists as a self-generated force, a product of clarity, intention, and self-respect. Financially, singlehood often brings independence that cannot be overstated. You make choices about your life, investments, and priorities with complete autonomy. You save, spend, and invest in alignment with your long-term vision, rather than accommodating the demands or expectations of a partner. This autonomy becomes an empowering form of freedom, one that strengthens not only your material foundation, but also your sense of self-reliance. Emotionally, the lessons of long-term singlehood are profound. You learn to sit with discomfort without fleeing into distraction or attachment. You understand that emotional fulfillment is not something to be outsourced, but cultivated within. Friendships, passions, and personal pursuits become sources of joy, support, and inspiration, filling the spaces that superficial connections often fail to satisfy. Spiritually, extended singlehood invites reflection on your place in the world, on the meaning of life, and on the principles by which you wish to live. Nietzsche challenges us to embrace our solitude as an opportunity to forge our own path, to create values that are authentic rather than inherited, and to live deliberately rather than habitually. Intellectually, being single for the long term encourages curiosity and exploration. You are free to question, study, and experiment without compromise, expanding your mind, refining your worldview, and developing a perspective that is both independent and profound. Creativity too flourishes when unencumbered by compromise. Long-term singlehood allows you to dive deeper. As your journey through singlehood continues, you begin to notice something profound. The world no longer dictates your pace, your choices, or your sense of self. You stand apart from the noise, the expectations, and the pressures that accompany conventional paths. And in that solitude, you discover clarity. Nietzsche reminds us that the individual who dares to walk alone is often the one who reaches heights that others cannot even imagine. Being single long-term is not a sign of loneliness, weakness, or deficiency. It is an assertion of independence, a deliberate decision to cultivate a life that is rich, meaningful, and entirely your own. You learn to celebrate your victories without needing external validation. Every personal milestone becomes a testament to your discipline, your insight, and your courage. You do not shrink your ambitions to accommodate another's comfort, nor do you compromise your principles for temporary companionship. Instead, you build a foundation so solid, so deeply rooted in your values, that any future connection can only complement your already whole existence rather than complete it. Emotionally, you become resilient in ways that cannot be taught. You face heartbreak, disappointment, and the uncertainties of life alone, and you survive. Not just survive, but grow stronger with each trial. The ability to stand firm in your own truth becomes your superpower. You recognize that genuine connection is not about proximity or dependence, but about resonance and alignment. You begin to enter relationships with intention, fully aware of your worth and unwilling to settle for anything less than reciprocity, respect, and depth. Socially, singlehood sharpens your perception. You learn to differentiate between shallow interactions and meaningful bonds. Friendships become sacred, chosen with care and cherished for the energy, support, and inspiration they bring. You no longer seek approval from the crowd. Instead, you cultivate influence, wisdom, and authenticity that naturally draw the right people toward you. Spiritually, long-term singlehood fosters introspection and alignment with your highest ideals. You explore the depths of your values, beliefs, and purpose, unafraid to question inherited norms or societal pressures. You become a creator of your own meaning, a designer of a life that reflects your most profound aspirations. Intellectually and creatively, your singlehood is fertile ground. You dive into projects, ideas, and passions without distraction, producing work that is original, insightful, and reflective of your true self. Freedom to explore, to fail, and to experiment becomes a rare and powerful gift, one that fuels growth in every aspect of your life. Physically, emotionally, and mentally, you thrive because every decision, every habit, and every pursuit is in service of your self-defined excellence. You learn that happiness is not found in dependency, but in mastery over your own existence. Ultimately, staying single long-term is an act of courage, wisdom, and self-respect. It is a declaration that you are enough, complete, and whole without external validation. It is a commitment to yourself, to your growth, and to the pursuit of a life that is extraordinary. In embracing the power of your own company, you emerge as a person unshakable in confidence, relentless in ambition, and radiant in authenticity. And when the world finally sees you, standing firm in your independence, they witness a life lived not for others, but for the one who truly matters, you.